This is the England dressing room, behind the scenes. Bit of washing hanging up on the line.
Some tours drift gently from memory. The tour of India in the early months of 1993 was so chaotic and calamitous, it's never been forgotten by those involved.
The modern player would freak out. It was chaotic.
This is the glamour side of touring with the England team, is it?
The trip was a little bit like wacky race.
It brought people together because it was tough on everyone.
The way it went didn't go to plan.
It was hard work, putting it politely.
I had the best view of the easiest catch that's ever been dropped.
Absolute dolly.
It was horribly embarrassing.
That's Tendulkar's first Test 100 in India.
The greats like that, you can kind of tell that there's something very special there.
Are they happy with what they produced?
Using unseen dressing room footage taken by one of our players, Dermot Reeve, we look back at one of the last old-school tours.
You had to suck it up and swallow almost in one go.
Put my finger down my throat and I forced myself to be sick.
I don't think it would happen in professional sport today.
That tour stands out in everyone's mind, just for the craziness, the chaos.
It's been a comprehensive spin wash.
Today, India is a cricketing powerhouse. Dominant on the field, all-powerful off it, their captain is the game's leading light, and they enjoy domestic competition, the IPL, that is the envy of the world. But that wasn't the case nearly 3 decades ago. Cricket was a very different game, India a very different country. By January 1993, its team had won 1 Test in 25 and was led by a man who faced calls for his sacking.
Mohammad Azharuddin must be hoping that his good luck will return for this series.
There was no money in the game as Doordarshan, the state broadcaster, not only enjoyed a monopoly over cricket broadcasting, but also charged for its services under antique legislation. Under a reforming finance minister, Manmohan Singh, later to become Prime Minister, the country was on the cusp of profound economic change, and Doordarshan's control over cricket broadcasting was coming to an end. I've been to India many times since, but the 1993 tour was my only experience of Test cricket there as a player, and for all kinds of reasons, it was unforgettable.
Waiting to meet the governor. That's our hotel where Mike Atherton is at the moment, probably on the toilet.
I think it's one of the great cricketing nations where the culture is completely different to our way of life and the way people live. You had to embrace that, you know, and not everything was, shall we say, on a plate for you like it might be in Australia or in England in terms of what you were used to with the hotels and the service and just the way the people treated you. I mean, they treated you brilliantly because you were like gods, really. They loved their cricketers as they still do.
Being hounded by the autograph hunters.
It was a completely different experience and one that was exciting. If you can have success in India, it's one of the great things if you're a player, isn't it?
Hello.
I think you've got to have people there who are happy to put up with the harder bits of the trip. You have to embrace the whole sort of culture, and you know what's going to happen, so there's no point moaning about it. You know, you could get ill, so there's no point moaning about that. It's going to be hot, it's going to be hard, the wickets are going to turn a bit. You need people that are prepared to sort of get stuck in, and because it will take 16 people on a trip like that.
Here's Jarvan Tails. Bit of washing hanging up on the line. This is the England dressing room, behind the scenes.
The likes of Gower, Embers, some of the old guard were coming back, so it was fascinating for me to be surrounded by some of my heroes. A massive insight into hearing how they would prepare for a tour like that.
There's the skipper doing his warm-up exercises. Quite often when he loosens up before he goes in the back, he does a little bit of dancing around. Swing. Here we go, yes, the Jeffrey, woo, look at those feet go. Fabulous stuff. Looking for a career, obviously in dance after cricket finishes.
It was a real sort of culture shock for me. You know, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the atmosphere, the noise. In those kind of conditions, we all sort of realised that we had to stick together a little bit. But it was going a little bit wrong before we even got on the plane.
England's selectors courted controversy with the inclusion of 3 members of the rebel tour to South Africa. David Gower's omission did not go down well.
With the delightful square drive.
Atherton, Smith.
Despite passing Jeff Boycott's record number of test runs for England, David Gower was omitted from the side, and Ted Dexter was not willing to tell us why.
I will not be discussing why players are not selected. I'm delighted to discuss why players are selected.
The public's scorn was not just based on Gower's popularity. The last time he had faced India, he had made an unbeaten 157.
After that 150th over against India, we had a tour of Australia, which largely went well, until things like tiger moths crept in. And that little sort of spirit of being unable to resist a little bit of fun at the wrong time actually sent me into a bit of a fallow period, which is the nicest way I can put it. But 18 months later, I'd got some form back. I got back into the team in the summer of '92 against Pakistan. And having done all right, and having been, as it were, promised a spot in India, that was where I found it very strange that things had changed quite so dramatically.
It was well documented that we didn't always see eye to eye in the way things should go. I mean, he had a brilliant summer, but the selectors, you know, we felt that we had to balance the side, and we already had some players of veteran status in myself and Mike Gatting, who's obviously a good player of spin, John Embry, so he didn't get the nod.
That was a really nice stroke from David Gower.
I would hold my hand up now and say the way it went didn't go to plan. We could have done with David, I would imagine, yeah.
Gower was not the only popular player omitted.
It's a brilliant catch, absolutely brilliant catch.
Jack was an iconic sort of cricketer with England, you know, for his character and his wicket-keeping ability. But I think we thought that in India we would need a full bowling attack, and Alex Stewart was not definitely going to get the gloves, but there was a fair chance with the balance of the side that we were looking towards possibly him. And we decided to try and take a like-for-like cricketer as a replacement in Richard Blakey. You know, had a good season with Yorkshire, and you know, he was a top 6 batsman.
Not taking your best keepers, and that's with respect to Richard Blakey and myself, because we were still learning our trade at that stage. Not to have taken Jack, where you need your best keeper on those pitches, was a massive error.
Members of the world's most famous cricket club meeting in London to decide on the future of English cricket.
MCC, didn't they call a special general meeting on the back of the non-selection of Gower and Jack?
This was what a small rebel group of them wanted to see more of in India this winter. So when David Gower was dropped, a campaign to hold this special meeting to know why was begun.
The MCC have no confidence in England's cricket selectors.
Let's face it, whatever happened in that meeting, I thought it was a bloody good thing, actually, for the MCC to have something to do in the winter. Bring them together, you know, get a couple of pink gins out, sit them down in the long room, wherever they had the meeting, and debate.
If the pink gins were flowing at Lord's, the hard work had already begun at Lillishall.
Back in those days and just before, there was nothing organised before you walked up the steps to the plane and arrived in Australia or India or anything. We set about trying to improve that and change that.
Pre-tour training was on rector-cell matting, which, if it spun a bit, but then went quick and bounce, which wasn't really how Indian pitches were. So we weren't prepared well.
Just gets all the boys together and sort of like gets the team spirit going, and you know, you're batting and you're bowling and you're getting your iron for sort of like when you step off the plane in India.
Our team on paper, I felt, was a decent team. You had people like Gat and Gooch who had scored double hundreds in India before, so I went out there feeling quite confident.
It's going to be a tough series. The Indians haven't been in particularly good form of late, but they're always a dangerous side, and we won't be taking them lightly. We think it's going to be tough, and we've got to play well to win.
You always think positively that, you know, you have the skill set to handle this type of bowling in whatever conditions. Unfortunately, quite a few things didn't go quite right. I had the breakup of my marriage, which was a little bit unsettling, was sort of hit the media just before that tour. It weighed heavily upon me, but I'm not giving that as an excuse, but it's not a good starting point for a tour.
When we landed, India was in the midst of a lengthy air pilot strike, which necessitated crisscrossing the country with long and sometimes overnight train journeys.
Here's the manager and Sauls, there's Blake's, Jarve, afternoon, and we just got all these armed guards who come just to make sure we get on the train. It's quite amazing.
It was very strange, wasn't it? With no planes, being a very big country as it was, that was a huge thing.
Here are some of the guys. Hello, Jarve. Just got off the bus and we're just about to go on the train. Here's the skipper with his pillow, ready for the train. Oh, ready for the train journey. Now the cat man. Daft trying to sing. The dancing man Louis and all these locals. What are we eating, fellas?
Corn beef in Namre.
Right, looks great. This is the glamour side of touring with the England team, is it? We actually have come here to find out for sure how many corned beef naans Mike Gatting has had. Please.
7.
7? 7?
Only 7.
Only? We had it with 17.
It was an amazing sort of trip. I think it was like an 18-hour train drive or something.
What are you eating, Jarve?
Chicken tikka sandwich.
Chicken tikka sandwich. I think you'd rather be having some Harry Ramsden's fish and chips. But,
looking back, it was quite good fun in a funny sort of way.
And how do you like your accommodation, Mr. Vice Captain?
It's very luxurious, actually. It's nice to have an ensuite bathroom, as you can see there. Mirror, shaving mirror.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
You're on a train overnight, you get no sleep, and then you're trying to play cricket the next day. I don't think it would happen in professional sport today, that's for sure.
Manager, we've heard that this will be our last train journey of the tour.
Well, I'm not sure that that's absolutely correct, because I think there's a good possibility that we'd be coming back down this line to Vizag, which is another 8 miles in the other direction.
Oh, really?
So I'm extremely optimistic that we can take the 18-hour trip from Calcutta down to Vizag.
Oh, brilliant.
And then on, obviously, to the Madras Test match, which is another 15 hours. So hopefully we can have a few more...
Clock up a good 100 hours on the train.
Without question.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will be right here waiting for you.
Oh.
Whatever it takes, or how my heart breaks, I will be right here waiting for you.
On the streets today, activists of the Hindu BJP party, the government here blames for the demolition of the mosque at Ayodhya and the widespread religious killings that followed.
Tensions were high in India because violence had flared in the wake of the destruction of the mosque at Ayodhya. The first one-day international in Ahmedabad was cancelled as a result.
This is today's paper. There's been 12 killed in Bombay and 60 injured in a new wave of sort of religious uprising.
Well, I think when you've got players that are married with families, they read the local newspapers and it's 15 killed here and 25 killed there. They're wondering, should I really be here? And some of the players were certainly feeling that way.
You're ready for this.
One player who was not ready for the resumption of air travel was Phil Tufnell, a notoriously bad flyer.
We were all called into the team room. They sort of said, right, OK, the person who has sort of like assured our safety regarding the flights and everything has now resigned because he can't assure our safety. We all sort of looked at each other and sort of went, oh, crikey, what's going to happen here then? So it was a little bit concerning.
Could be a bumpy flight. Harvey wants to get near the emergency exit, I think.
So I can bail.
Bail out.
Come on, Daffy. Let's get going. Yes, Daffy's coming up. Let's take off, please. Ow!
There was a bird hit the plane that caused a bit of a kerfuffle, and it was not ideal.
Oh, no!
There was a loud bang, and then we ended up circling the airport for about 20 minutes to burn off fuel, and then we came down, and the plane abruptly stopped, and everyone got out. And I think the pilot said something like, "Thank you to the graciousness of God, we've landed safely."
Oh, now it's shot right.
There's a plane upside down on the runway next to us. I've had tough as his fingernails in my forearm. The trip was a little bit like wacky races.
Well, we just landed at Delhi. The third time today we've been up and down. And this time we landed without any hydraulic pressure. We had total hydraulic failure.
After 3 weeks and 4 warm-up matches, we headed north to the pink city of Jaipur for the opening ODI.
It's obviously our hotel now, but it used to be one of the homes of the Maharaja of Jaipur. More singing. Here we are in the gym at the Ramberg Palace, and Corky's just about to have the old
Chicken pies are resting around.
Daffy, you're looking a bit worried. This is Devon as well. He's the other barber.
He's always no, I'm one man. What do you reckon?
Watch the language.
Everything is set here in Jaipur for what's sure to be an important game for both sides as they struggle for the psychological advantage in this series. The wicket we expect to be a slow turner, and all in all it should be a fascinating game.
This was an historic occasion, the first match to be broadcast on satellite television in India, and for the viewers there was a thrilling finish.
It's all down to the last gasp. 1 run to win, 1 ball to go. It really is the most pulsating game. The crowd on tenterhooks. 1 to win, 1 ball to go. Here's Prabhakar to Lewis. He drives and they're home. They've got it. England have won. They have won this match by 4 wickets. And, well, what a fantastic finish of the very last ball of the match. What a day for cricket.
There's a man at the moment. Water, how about champagne?
Never in any doubt, mate.
Brilliant.
Get something on it. Bat, pads, gloves, anything. There was no doubt about it. If I won in, the game would have been over anyhow.
You'd have just hit it for 6,
yes.
as you always do.
Straight.
It's like in New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. No problem at all. No panic.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Great.
We won now?
Yeah.
Damn it, somehow I don't think Audrey's going to allow this in the house. I think that might be put in the garage.
I'm not sure it's going to make the trip home. I'll have a quiet word with her tonight and see what she says, but I really don't think she's going to... Because I don't think she's going to let it in her house.
And back into the room. And the beers are out. And the beers are out.
The award never did make it home, and we weren't to know that this would be the last victory celebration for some time.
The mystery virus is claimed 3 more victims.
I picked up a virus where I just didn't feel right.
Kumble, he was really hard work.
It's so important to get off to as good a start as you can.
How am I playing? How's Robin playing? Needs to improve.
Sky Sports Cricket. Feel it all.